Thank you all for the time today. It's awesome to chat with you today. You know, I don't know where to start with this story. It is such an emotional ride. But I guess, Michael, starting with you, adapting this from the novel, it's such a uniquely dark, powerful story, but it has such a unique sense of humor at the same time. How difficult was that to come up with the story beats and the kind of story that you're trying to tell here?
It was surprisingly difficult. I thought it was all there in the novel, and it was all there in the novel, and I thought I'd be able to crack it fairly quickly. And I got completely stuck to the point where I was almost ready to give up on it, and then sort of fortunately found a way through it that made sense. So, and just, yeah, I didn't think it would beat me up as much as it did. And then when I did find a way through it, it went fairly quickly.
Alison and Sarah, for you both, how did you envision your characters and how did you envision their relationship? Because it is such a unique relationship on film.
I think, turning to the book and being able to speak with Miriam about her relationship with her sister and her mom, being able to text her to ask her mom about certain pronunciations, being like having her and her mom, like knowing that they were behind the project. And then in terms of the uniqueness of the relationship, I mean, I have a sister, so I guess I think it is unique on film to an extent, but it also felt so very real because there is nobody on this planet who can get to the heart of me as quickly as my sister can, or whose approval I seek more often or more deeply. And I think, Miriam's study of these relationships between mother and daughter, and being a mother and being a daughter and being a sister, and all of the ways that those influence your personality and the way your decisions influence lives beyond your own, really drew me to the story. And I think Sarah's performance and the trust we were able to build with each other to go to these places together was kept it all grounded and feeling inspired and safe enough to sort of go off on flights of fancy.
What about you, Sarah? How would you describe not just your idea of the character, but then I guess that relationship between the two of them?
Well, I mean, the character was so fully formed in the novel and in the film. And I think that's, one of the things that was so great, but then also so terrifying, knowing that so much of the novel is inspired by Miriam's own life. And so being able to spend time with Miriam before we started shooting and talk to her about her sister and her relationship with her sister and, their family's experience with depression and suicide and all of that, it made me feel so safe because I think in the beginning I was really afraid of taking that on, playing a character that's based on her late sister. It really, I was really afraid, I think. And then knowing that Alison was going to play Yoli was just so exciting for me because we've known each other since we were kids and worked together when we were teenagers and have a lot of the same history, and we come from the same place, and we went to a lot of the same schools, and we were both child actors in Toronto during a certain period of time. And there's just so much there that is the same. And then to kind of experience her now as this wonderful, incredible actor and mom and person, and so much, I think, of the chemistry that showed up on screen was what was happening in our real life. It was a reflection of that.
Michael, for you, I can't imagine anyone else playing these roles. Can you tell me what you thought Alison and Sarah, made them stand out for these parts?
Well, they're both just incredible actors, and they were just fantastic collaborators. So yeah, I can't imagine anybody else either. And just, I mean, Alison's ability to switch between anger and humor, Sarah's ability to sort of encapsulate this existential sadness without feeling like with it feeling so real. And just as Sarah was saying, the shared history they have together, I think I had no idea when I cast them that they like each other and they know each other well. And I think that that comes through in ways that I didn't expect or anticipate.
Alison, Sarah, for both of you, what's Michael like to work with? What does he bring to playing these parts?
I mean, Michael is so generous. He's very smart, and he was just so generous, I think, with every part of the filmmaking process, from the rehearsal to while we were shooting to afterwards, in post. He was very generous and inclusive, and I think that's so many of the directors that I've worked with, who I've loved working with, are invite people in instead of like shutting people out, and that way we can all stand on each other's shoulders to make the best film that we can make together.
Do you have anything to add, Alison?
I just have to also, just also to say that we shot this in late fall, winter 2020. And so it was a highly pressured environment where we have 20 days to shoot this thing. If any single thing goes wrong, we don't really have a plan B. And it was the kindest, calmest set that I've ever worked on. We like Michael's ability to laugh and stay calm in the face of all of these crazinesses outside of our bubble in North Bay, and to kind of keep a clear head and a clear view of the movie he wanted to make, while at the same time, keeping the set from becoming overly stressed or overly speedy. It felt like we had this, there were moments of sort of luxury in the midst of filmmaking that for, a small indie and a 20-day budget during a pandemic, I'm so incredibly grateful for that, for the leadership that led to that feeling.
Well, also I'll ask you, Michael, is the editing is such an essential part of telling the story. Was that a challenge in the end once you had everything lined up? Did it just kind of fall into place, or how did working on the editing kind of play out?
Well, it's that adage that you write it 3 times, once in the script, the second time when you shoot it, and the third time in editing. And I'm always amazed. First of all, the worst part of the filmmaking experience is when I watch that assembly. Like I haven't had any input, and I've worked with these editors before, but I'm giving them lots of latitude, but every inadequacy I feel comes to that first assembly. And then you're like, okay, this is all going to be fine. And it's always amazing. I love editing because you have the luxury of time. You can play with things. And it's that discussion of, why does this line matter? What are we trying to do with this scene? And how much stuff changes again. You think, oh, we've got, 8 weeks left of editing. We'll be done in 2 weeks. And you just keep discovering things until you get to the point where it's like, okay, I think this is the best we can do, and we're ready to show it to the world. So, and again, Alison and Sarah, we showed them links to get their input, as we do with lots of people. And you're just always trying to be a conduit to what everybody's talents, perspectives, whether it's, crew or cast, to see if you can do justice to the material.
Well, thank you all so much for the time. I really appreciate it. The film is spectacular. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.